Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So I saw this on, my brother actually told me about this, and to be honest, I was completely shocked. Like, this came completely out of left field. I did not believe it when I heard the news about Kevin Samuels passing. I really didn't believe it. And then I went on to social media and found out that it apparently was true, and I was very disturbed because it seemed so random and like he should not be gone. Like, it's crazy. This shocked me, and it completely disturbed me because, like I said, it came out of left field, and it just seems like the man should not be gone. Like, he should still be here. But anyways, I was shocked, and I was like, wow. So I went on social media to confirm that all this was true, and apparently it was, and it just, like I said, it disturbed me. And despite how you felt about what he said or what he didn't say, this is disturbing and it's saddening, and he was only 56. And I know a lot of people say, well, I think 56 or 57. And some people might say only 56, but that's still pretty young for somebody to be, passing away. You know what I'm saying? Just, still too young, if you ask me. But anyways, I feel like the community is very divided about him, about how they feel about him, and and all that kind of stuff. And I've seen why, but I just feel like for us to be divided over something again is just it's just not good. So I know a lot of people, of course, in the manosphere and the YouTube community that followed him very heavily, of course, are very devastated because of his passing. And I've seen a lot of people that, again, like I'm seeing a trend in the Black community where people are happy and they're saying people deserved it and celebrating the death of people just because they didn't like things that they said, things that they did. And that is something, like I said in one of my videos before, we need to do some self-reflection on, because that's very sick-minded. It's sick. Like, we need to do some self-reflection. We really need to stop doing that, because it's not okay. Like, you have every right to say, oh, well, I don't like how he said what he said or what he did or whatever, but to say that, you're okay with what happened, that's just not okay. Like I said, and like I said, it's a pattern that I've been seeing lately in mostly our community, the Black community. So it's definitely something that we need to work on for real. But anyways, I haven't made a whole lot of videos about Kevin Samuels, but this is what I will say. So there's a lot of stuff that he talked about that I will admit that I did agree upon. Like, when there's a lot of, well, the main subject, like I said, I was speaking about this to my brother because I like to talk about this kind of stuff to him sometimes. And the whole, subject of women having delusional standards. And let's just be honest, everybody has had delusional standards, both men and women. But let's just talk about the women. The women having delusional standards where they come on to his show, or they say whatever, they make a post and they say, well, I want a man stereotypical, 6 foot, making 6 figures with a 6-pack. And they don't realize that the men who they're asking for don't want women with their profile, if you get my drift. Like, I'm trying to be nice about it, but he was ripping them to shreds. And so I get it, and I agree that the standards are delusional, because there's only how many men in this world that fit that profile versus how many women are asking for them. And I feel like it's wrong for women to do that, because I'm sure that hurts the feelings of some men who aren't 6 foot. There might be guys listening that are 5'10", who have, 5 figures, that may not have a 6-pack, but they're in shape and they're working on it. I'm sure that upsets, men to hear that, and it's not right. And they deserve to be upset. Of course, some of them are like, well, I couldn't care less what some random woman thinks on the internet or what some random woman wants on the internet. I don't care about their opinions because they don't put money in my pocket. So, which, again, I understand that too. And that's good. They shouldn't care about what those women think because it's toxic. That's very toxic. But there are some men, of course, they would get upset with that, And that's understandable, because the way I see it is the same as when men get on the internet and say, well, I want a woman that's light-skinned. She has to have a big butt and big boobs and straight hair. It's the same when you really think about it. And I think that people should not do that. And I know women have done that a lot. And it's not right. And I know that he's had people on his show who have said that, women. And he's, tried to set them straight. Now, I do agree with that. I'll admit, I do agree with that, because women need to stop doing that. And it's not all women. Like, don't ever get it twisted and think that all women are like that, because they're not. It's just, a certain amount of them that always do stuff like that. And so that I do agree with. The whole part of, like I said, I don't necessarily support the manosphere, but the whole part where they say, like, not letting women take advantage of you and blah 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 blah. But you've also gotta address, self, self issues, accountability and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, now, what I didn't agree with was him publicizing it. Like, I never agreed with any of that. Whenever he would bring women onto the show, and I, for the life of me, I could not understand why they kept going on there just to get roasted and made fun of, because he might have, been trying to, I guess, help them maybe, or that's what he, called himself doing. But everybody else who was watching him roast them were not there to help them. They were there to laugh at them and mock them. But I'd never agreed with, the whole, like, uploading it to, like, YouTube and all that kind of stuff. Like, publicizing. Like, technically, he was, like, a dating coach, in a way, he was, like, a dating coach. So I feel like as a dating coach or somebody who's trying to help somebody else, that's not something that you would publicize. I feel like that's something that you should do, like, one-on-one, and not put on the internet for everybody to see you dragging somebody. But that's what he did. And we all know that dragging people, roasting people, gets you views. It gets you likes. It gets you money. And I believe that was the main reason behind that. I could be wrong, but, everybody, deserves to say what they think and feel how they feel, whatever. Another thing I didn't like is that there was a lot of toxicity behind his followers that was never really addressed. And I get it. Like, while he was, like I said, trying to hold, quote, women accountable for what they were doing and trying to help them or whatever, there was a lot of, like I said, really toxic men behind that. And they weren't watching because they were like, yeah, we need to, like, help the women see that they're being delusional. Like, we're doing them a favor. We're trying to help get them right. No, a lot of these men were watching him because they just wanted to watch him drag some woman. Like, these men they were bitter, they were vindictive, they were hurt, and they had been through a lot. And they wanted to put a face to all of that pain and trauma, which was those women that kept calling on for whatever reason. And they wanted to take pleasure in seeing him drag those women. And I get it. You can't, like, always, like, be like, oh, well, like, not all women, or like, oh, not all men. But I feel like that's something that should have been addressed, And I feel like because it wasn't, it was like feeding a monster that just kept growing and growing and growing. And now it's just out of control. Like, there's nothing else that can be done about it now because it's just too late. It's already gotten to a point where there's nothing that can be done. Another thing that I didn't like was, so, like I said, people can say, oh, that's just, alleged. You don't know if he said that. But I can say the same thing about the people who said that. But there's a lot of people who were saying that the thing that, like, disturbed them about this whole thing was how he talked about, how he said that some women were going to, like, die alone or whatever. And I'm just like, I mean, like, I get what he was trying to do, but I feel like that's not exactly the word choice you want to use if you actually are trying to help somebody. Like, that's the thing. When you're trying to help somebody, they might not always want help, but you don't make it worse by being rude while telling them the advice that you're trying to give them, because that ruins it. And you can say, well, oh, they probably wouldn't take the advice anyways. Like, it doesn't matter because they're still going to get offended. But you don't want to make it worse by being rude or being offensive right off the rip, But that was one of the things that a lot of people were saying, that he was saying that they did not like at all. And I don't think it was something that he should have said at all, period. And people were also saying that he, denied, like, when there were women who were, like, giving their experiences, like, I believe I've talked about this before, like how women were saying that, while y'all are saying that all women don't take accountability and don't do what they're supposed to do and aren't supposed to submit, there was a whole generation of women who did take accountability and who did submit, and their husbands abused them, beat them, left them for other women because they were working while their wives were at home cleaning, cooking, taking care of the kids, and submitting. And he said something along the lines, apparently, like I said, that there was no evidence that, black men ever abused or hurt black women. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, I think, really got pissed when that happened, when he said that, because there is a plethora of evidence to make that untrue. Now, I'm not saying that, all black men are bad or all black men are abusive, but to say that there's no evidence that it ever happened, not true. Now, I'm just addressing what I heard, the things that I've seen, because this is my channel, this is my video, and I wanted to talk about it. If you don't like that, you have every reason to not like that, just like you have every, right and reason to keep it to yourself. And again, another thing that I heard was a lot of the men talking about on, like I said, 'cause I've seen a lot of videos and whatnot on their channels about how, like I said, he started with the men first, right? And then he moved to the women. And they can't understand why, whenever he was trying to, like I said, they said, hold women accountable, why women reacted in such the way that they did. And here's my response to that. No, it's not okay for anybody, like if they call themselves trying to help somebody. And like I said, I've seen some of his videos. I saw one where there was a woman. He was saying some pretty brutal stuff. Like, I didn't agree with the language that he used. I thought it was foul, but she accepted it. And she agreed with him. But you don't see people talking about, oh, yeah, there was this one chick on there. And there was a black woman, of course, who actually accepted. Like, she took it. She took the advice. She took it. And she accepted it. And she didn't, act crazy with him. She didn't pop off at the mouth. She took it. But you see, like, a plethora of videos going on about the women who came on there who weren't attractive, were overweight. And they were talking about how they wanted this, that, and the other. But men are the emotionally stronger of the two out of men and women, right? So quite naturally and commonsensically, when you put women through the same thing that you put men through, the emotional response is going to be different. Now, I'm not saying look at every woman like she's emotionally incompetent, because I don't support women acting crazy just because they're women. They say, oh, well, women, we're emotional. Like, that's no excuse to act out of turn whenever something is said that they don't like or they don't agree with. Although I am saying it was kind of ridiculous to assume the same response from women that you would from men, because of the reason that I stated. That men are emotionally stronger than women. Not all men, of course. And I'm not giving any excuses. But again, that all came with the territory. And I'm sure he knew that. But everybody wanted it to go the way they felt like it should go and the way they wanted it to go. But the world does not work like that. People don't work like that. Okay. Like I said, all this came with the territory. And I'm sure he knew that. And if people didn't want the territory, then they shouldn't have took it on. You know what I'm saying? It comes with the territory. One last thing that I wanted to say about, all this. Now, this is just me, because this is just me. I've said before, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. So I don't think that the advice that was given out, especially just all around the manosphere, like I said, I've said before, I did agree with some of the stuff that they were saying. But a lot of the stuff that they were saying, that they were calling advice, help, it's very carnal. And carnal advice, worldly advice, can only take you so far. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like at some point in time, there has to be some kind of spiritual advice. Not talking about religion, not talking about denomination, not talking about, any of that stuff. I'm talking about legitimate spiritual advice, your relationship with God, what he's telling you to do, who he's telling you to date, all that, etc. And I just believe that if you're going to help somebody, especially put two people together, or tell somebody how they should live their life or how they should fix themselves, or they want to be with somebody or a certain person, then that's definitely something, the spiritual aspect, that needs to be included. And it is not included for the most part in the manosphere. And that's something I don't agree with. Now, despite everything, like I said at the beginning of the video, I was still very disturbed whenever I heard that he had passed. It was even sad, because I hate it when these kind of situations happen. People pass, and like, it's just so sudden and random. I guess that's what really got us all. That it was just so random and sudden, and it just felt like it should not have happened. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's saddening. It's disturbing. And I just hope that, condolences to his family, and that, everything's going to be okay. But anyways, you all tell me what you think down in the comments below.